Hi, I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. So it's been an exciting morning already. I got a message this morning from my mom, and she said, Hey, this seems like it could be. She had a link, and she said, This seems like it could be an interesting idea for one of your ASMR videos. So thanks, Mom. And I'm just going to show this to you real quick. It was a link that looked like this. And let me read what it says. There's a picture at the bottom of some boys in uniform coming off a ship. And it says, You are welcome here. And that's a quote. In August of 1942, the ship entered the harbor under a burning sun. The children came down like shadows, too weak to cry, too accustomed to pain to dare to hope. The Maharaja was waiting for them, dressed in white. He knelt to meet them at eye level and said, The whole world said no to 270. The whole world said no to 740 war orphans. Only one person said yes. His actions have become one of the most memorable humanitarian stories in history. I guess he said that you are welcome here. I guess that's what it is. So I was like, well, that is an interesting story actually to look into. So I did start looking into it. But I have to say, immediately this felt like AI slop. There are a few things that made me think that. And one was this picture just didn't ring true to me. These boys, first of all, don't look like orphans. They look kind of, I don't know if it's a real photo or not. I tried to do a reverse image search. I can't find anything about the photo, but it felt not real to me. And then some of the language in here didn't feel quite right to me. So I went on a search. And the interesting thing is, it's a true story. There is I wrote his name down. Are you ready? I'm going to say this. Maharaja Digvijay Singhji Ranjit Singhji Jadja. I'm pretty sure I said that exactly. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry, but we'll call him the Maharaja. So what happened? We're going back to World War II. At the very beginning of World War II, before the U.S. was involved, well, really, right at the beginning, the USSR, the Soviets in Russia, and the German army, the Nazis, first invaded together jointly. They invaded Poland, and they split Poland. The Germans got the West, and the Russians got the East, and they moved the citizens, the Polish citizens, I guess most of them, out of the country. And whole families were sent from Poland, which is right here, over to like Kazakhstan, which is over here, and then Siberia and Arctic Russia, so all up in here. They had labor camps, or gulags is what they would be called back, in Russia. And they put the Polish citizens to work in the gulags. Now, years ago, and I think I've told this story before, I had a friend at Red Lobster who was from Russia, and she brought with her a book of a man who was in a gulag. And I read that book, and it was really bad. They might give you some broth with a leaf in it, of some sort. It's starvation, it's overwork, it's freezing cold without proper clothes, without proper bedding. So a lot of Polish citizens were in these gulags. And then in 1939. What year did I say? Okay, and 39 is when they invaded. Germany and Russia invaded Poland. I think by 41, 1941, Germany breaks the deal they had in Poland and starts saying, we're taking over the world. And so Russia, in order to get better favor in the eyes of the Allied nations, and also because they kind of needed help from the Polish workforce, I think, they freed all the people who were in the work camps. The problem is they didn't give them anywhere to go. And a lot of people had died in those years from undernourishment and freezing and everything. A lot of adults, especially because they were being worked to the point of death, some of them. So there were a lot of orphan children who were just free, but had nowhere to go and didn't know where they were. I mean, look how far away they were from home. So they got these buses. Well, what happened was India, down here in India, there's British and Indian. I guess it was probably a British colony at the time, right? Yeah. So they're kind of debating, what do we do with these kids? And it was a little, it wasn't like in that story they say nobody wanted them. Well, it was a little like, who's responsible? Who's going to pay for it? What if they have disease because they're coming out of this gulag, and who knows what diseases they carry, on and on. Well, the Maharaja, he worked with diplomats. He worked with the Red Cross. He worked with the British to get the children brought to near his palace in India. He was like the leader in India. And he set up a place there where he housed 600 orphans pretty permanently, I think. But they say over 1,000 came through. And in there he had schools. He had medical care. He brought in Polish teachers to teach the children their own language. He had, clothing. He went out and got a lot of donors to donate money to help them. And so he saved hundreds, maybe 1,000 children. I mean, I don't know what would have happened otherwise, but so they call him like the Maharaja, the Schindler of India, or something like that, I think. So it's a pretty fantastic and amazing story, and semi-true. However, this story, it makes you question. Okay, so I have something else. So I looked up, there is a, sorry, let me see if I wrote down the name of the museum. Okay, Imperial War Museum. And they actually have a photo of the children. This is from the Imperial War Museum. It's this amazing photo of these children. And if you notice, there's a little boy right here who has an X on his shirt, and in front of him is this little girl. Their parents died, and he carried her out and rescued her. She was sick and everything, and he got her to this camp. And that is an amazing story. I assume this is after they were at the camp for a little while. I don't know, because they look pretty healthy and happy here. But I'm not sure if that was the day of. But why the AI decided to replace it. And the other thing with that photo, when I read the story, I was like, well, they didn't come in on a boat. They came in on buses. Hold on, I'm trying to go back to show you. Done. And this picture shows these boys on a ship. I'm not sure this is a real photo. I can't find, if I do a reverse image search, all I find are recent Facebook posts. None of them are from actual museums. I think it might be AI generated, maybe. Why? I don't know, because they just want to own all the content, I guess. But it's like gonna change history because, I used to sell vintage things. And sometimes I would see a vintage item for sale with false information, just wrong information, because I would have the actual documentation to know, like about a typewriter. I would know exactly where that typewriter was produced and how it was made. I knew all the information. And I would see people post on like eBay or something with just BS stories they made up. But the problem is, once that's posted once, other people quote it, not quote it, but steal it. They just go, they learn from it, which is what AI is going to do too. It's going to learn from itself and keep sharing stuff more and more and more until you can't reverse to the real thing. It makes it so much harder. And then it also makes you question, like, even this comes from a Facebook page called British and Commonwealth Forces. Okay. I tried to figure out, it seems to be also from that, Imperial War Museum. So I'm hoping, they actually have it marked as from the Imperial War Museum. I hope that's a real museum. Okay. It says, a group of refugee and war orphan Polish boys evacuated from Soviet captivity in Siberia at the camp of Balachady, India, 1943. That was the camp's name, Balachady. I might say that wrong. So this picture is from 43. Okay. Note 1. Maharaja Jam Sahib Digvijaya Sinhaji of Nawanagar lent sites for 2 camps. One of them, the Polish children's camp at Balachady, housed more than 1,000 children. Now I read 600. I don't know. Note 2, the boy marked X carried his baby sister, also in the picture right in front of him, to safety to the Polish relief lorries, or trucks. For us Americans, a lorry is a truck, after the death of their parents in a Soviet gulag. So that, I'm hoping this is a real site. But so they kind of verified. So I found this photo in 2 places. So I do think this is maybe the real photo, which I think is a better and feels way more real than that other one. But who knows anymore? So anyway, that is the story of the Maharaja. Not in depth, because I'm afraid it's going to be harder and harder to figure out what's real and what's not real. Because even on Google reverse image search, when I did the reverse image search of this image, it said, these are the children from the Maharaja. But they didn't come by ship, and they probably didn't look anything like these boys. So like already Google image search is just quoting all the Facebook posts that are made by all the different like AI bots. As far as I can tell, I couldn't find anything anywhere where this photo's on a legit site. So it's wild, guys. It's wild out there. You have to really do your research. Just the other day, I made a video where I was talking about music. I was talking about the Beatles and the John Lennon quote and all that. You may have seen that video where he said the Beatles are more popular than Jesus. And I told a story about Paul Simon and The Graduate and the music from The Graduate, just as an offhand story. But I knew it was true. I knew my memory could be wrong, but I knew the story itself was based on something because I had seen an interview with Paul Simon and he talked about it. So I was like, well, that's from the horse's mouth. In the comments, somebody, not to be rude or anything, but just a genuine curiosity person, said, well, I looked it up and it turns out that story you told wasn't quite correct. And I was like, I really think I heard that from Paul Simon. And they were quoting Wikipedia that it wasn't correct. And I didn't look up the Wikipedia, but I did find the interview with Paul Simon. But it just shows like you can't, I don't think you can do one-step research. Well, here's what's interesting. Research is so much easier than it was in the 70s and 80s and 90s when you had to go to the library and Dewey Decimal System yourself and try to find reference material or look up microfiche on newspapers. My stomach's crawling, sorry. And it was complicated but real. Now it's so easy to look stuff up or ask AI, but you have to triple check everything all the time. The reverse image searches might be wrong. The AI is wrong a lot. I'm telling you, so often when I look stuff up, and now the first thing you see is AI unless you've turned off AI. You know what I mean? Like on Google, AI is the first thing you see. It's wrong a lot. It's wrong a lot. So research is easier, but also more inaccurate, but also more accurate. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like all over the place. Anyway, all right, guys. I just wanted to pop in and tell you that story because I thought it was interesting. And I'll have to tell my mom what I found out. I hope she's not like, oh, oops. Because she's not wrong. I mean, and there's enough truthiness, as Stephen Colbert would say, in this story that you're like, well, that kind of feels true. I'll tell you what made me question it. The part where it says, the ship entered the harbor under a burning sun. Kind of like not what a historian would say usually. And then the children came down like shadows. And then this mark here is kind of a thing AI does a lot. Too weak to cry, too accustomed to pain to dare to hope. It just doesn't feel like something a historical society would put out because it's so, trying to pull feelings out of you. And then to see this photo where they're arriving and they don't look too weak or too in pain. They look like, literally, yeah, at least 3 of these kids look like pictures of my son when they were little, which I think is totally on purpose. These might be modern faces they've put on these boys. But I can't say for sure it's an AI photo. It could be a real photo from World War II. It just feels it's not clear enough to tell if like the clothes are. I'll tell you what, the socks are mighty white. I mean, they had some good whitening. Like, why are the socks so white, but their teeth don't show up white at all? It just doesn't feel right to me. This feels like I think this might be completely AI created photo. Can somebody find out if anyone knows how to find out if that's actually AI? I'm trying to look at because sometimes you can tell by the way the faces are, but these look pretty good. It's all getting way too good. It's the socks, I think, that have me questioning. I'm looking to see if anybody has extra arms or anything. I think AI's gotten too good. You can't tell anymore that way. And all the adults in the background, they're all looking in the other direction. I don't know. Anyway. But it doesn't appear that the whole world said no. I think there was a time where they were debating like, who's taking them? Where are we putting them? How are we going to keep them from spreading disease? Who's paying for the, it does seem like that. Did he dress in white and kneel to meet them at eye level? Probably. I don't know, but I don't know. I didn't see anything about him doing that, but he seemed to be very caring and want to help them. And he did. I think he is the Schindler of India. He saved a lot of children. So it would make a very interesting book or movie. Somebody get on it. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. I hope you enjoyed that. I got to run around and turn the camera off.